Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where experts in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Our first guest today is breathwork and life coach Christine Hart-Savage, and the topic we'll be discussing today is understanding overwhelm and sensitivity. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Megan. It's lovely to be here.
We're happy to have you, Christine. Christine, tell us a little bit about overwhelm and sensitivity. Do you have any personal experience with that?
I certainly have lots of personal experience with it. I've had a very interesting journey in my life with overwhelm, and it's been huge. So the first time I remember this feeling coming over me, I didn't know it was overwhelm and I didn't know it was sensitivity back then. Had no idea. I was actually very young. And I remember this feeling coming over me of confusion and thinking, I don't understand this world. Really did not understand this world from very young. And I was almost frightened of this world, because what I found is that people would be speaking certain words, saying one thing, and yet I was having this swirling feeling coming from, now I know, from the other person. But at that stage when I was younger, I thought it was me. And I would just feel always very, very confused within myself. And what I find is that sensitivity, there's a lot of sensitive people that don't know they're sensitive, but they really sort of, it brings up this feeling of fear and self-doubt within you, and you feel a bit rocked, like not steady and stable within yourself. So what I found over the years, in fact, it took me till my early 30s to actually work out what was mine and what was someone else's.
Right, so this was a feeling you recognised at that point.
Absolutely. I recognised it because I learnt to meditate and I learnt to breathe correctly. And when I was in those states of meditation, I felt really still and calm, incredibly calm inside. And then I'd go back out into the world. And if I met somebody who was really speaking one thing, feeling something else, I started to recognise, hang on, I was really stable a moment ago. Now I've got this swirling feeling happening within me that's uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. That's not mine. And I started to recognise that my energy, if you like, or my sensitivity was, and we all have this, was radiating out everywhere and picking up other people's feelings. That's what it is. You pick up the feelings in the atmosphere around you that people are emitting out into the world around us, basically. So I started to really look at this and look at people who were coming to see me as clients and with anxiety. And what I noticed is, I would say 99.9% of them are what I would call a sensitive. So when we're sensitive like that, there's so many signals coming in from people everywhere and from our atmosphere that you really become quite overwhelmed. You really do. So we need something that's going to anchor us in ourselves, into our own being, if you like. Really ground you. Yeah. And for me, that was meditation, daily meditation, and breathing. So that really helps, because breathing is like an anchor that we can really use, because it's the one thing we're always taking with us. I really got to a point where I wasn't coping with anxiety. So the funny thing is, I had this little torn out piece of paper from The Age, I remember that, and it was on meditation. And I thought, what is this piece of paper? I don't remember ever tearing it out of the paper at all. And I kept throwing this piece of paper away, I thought, and it would start appearing again. And in the end, when I wasn't coping, I thought maybe this is a sign that I should learn meditation. So I went and I learnt meditation. So from then on, I meditated twice a day, every day. And what that did it enabled me to have that sense of knowing what was my feelings in my balance and what was someone else's. So I found that once I really recognised what was going on and understood the energies, it worked for me in my life, because when I was seeing people and helping people with anxiety or overwhelm or stress or whatever it might have been, I could feel their feelings and know where they were sitting and ask all the right questions to bring up their emotional state. So it's really actually worked for me. So there's a lot of very positive points about being a sensitive. It's when it takes us over and we don't know how to use it and it overwhelms us that it becomes a problem. It's very uncomfortable, but it really has a gift to it as well.
What advice would you like our viewers to take away?
There's so many things I could say. I think one of the important things that I will say, the first thing I would advise anybody to do is to learn to breathe correctly. Because when we're in overwhelm, the breath closes down. What I mean by that is you start to hold your breath a bit, it becomes more shallow and the body contracts in a bit more and the overwhelm takes you over. So if you could hold your balance by anchoring into your breath, even anyone listening now, if you just put your attention on your breathing and just see what it's doing, then deepen it. Just bit by bit, just deepen your breath. Just take it that little bit deeper, a bit rounder, a bit softer, a bit fuller. And that, if you do that even for about a couple of minutes, even 5 minutes, you will start to feel a calmness coming through you and your energy expands out a bit, your life force, your aura. And you feel in your body much more grounded and much more centered in yourself. So you can actually go out into the world and you feel a lot better about who you are. So it really does work with both parts of the brain, left and right hemispheres of the brain, the nervous system. It balances our energy. And that's proven now scientifically. But my breath, that is one thing that I have used up the whole journey to actually hold me balanced. It's a wonderful thing. And as I started to say before, we've always got it with us. You can't leave home without it. So we don't have to, where did I put my breathing? It's there. It's there with us the whole time. So it's a wonderful gift we've been given by life, and it certainly helps with overwhelm.
Thank you, Christine.
It's my pleasure, Megan.
If you'd like to know more about understanding overwhelm and sensitivity and Christine Hart-Savage, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll have another interesting guest with another interesting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, psychic medium and author Anthony Kilner will be talking about what do people mean when they say astral. Welcome back. Our next guest, Anthony Kilner, is a psychic medium and author, and the topic we'll be discussing is when people talk about the astral, what do they mean? Welcome, Anthony.
Thanks, Megan.
What is the astral and what does astral travel mean?
The astral is a really interesting space. In general terms, and not making it too complicated, me personally, I see the astral as the realm that surrounds the earth. And within the realms of the astral, there are 10 by 10 by 10 by 10, and it's basically levels that you go up. Now, the thing about that is everyone will have a slightly different interpretation on it. However, our spirit body goes out into the astral and is experiencing all sorts of different bits and pieces. I'll get to that in a sec. The main thing is understanding that unlike dreams, which are a soul message that require interpretation, they're muted in colour, the astral is vibrant. It's vibrant in its colour. What you do, what your spirit body does out in the astral really impacts what you feel on your physical body. And that's really interesting. So you go into the astral to meet your loved ones, you go into the astral to meet and have experiences with teachers, learning, that sort of thing. You can go into the astral realm if you're in one way to remote view into the future. So if you're looking to get a job, you might put yourself out there and experience that in sort of between the astral realm and your physical realm. So it's really quite an interesting topic in general. More specifically, our spirit body is going out there to experience everything that is in the astral realm. We meet our loved ones, and so any of our departed relatives. We can meet our friends, so we can all go to an astral point together. And how many times have you talked to people and they said, they get up in the morning, they just think, oh, I feel like I've just run a marathon, I can't get my body right. And you talk to them and they've been out partying in the astral, because that's the big party place, that very first layer of the astral, closest to the earth as it moves around sort of semi-elliptically, around sort of 1 till sort of 3, 4 in the morning. And that's when most people, they'll have an experience, they'll wake up and it might be 1:11 or 3:33 or something like that, or 2:22. It seems to be a lot of universal timing in how all that works. And once your body's out there, like I said, we can interact with people. We learn from the astral realms as well. So they're actually people, spirit people that live there, that don't just visit, and we learn from them. So there's a whole lot of stuff that happens in that space. People going into the astral and helping and doing what they need to do, and they quite often they go there and they help people as a spirit being. So if somebody has passed away and they need help to move into that realm properly, we quite often will go there in our sleep, not even knowing what we're doing, and we might be a police officer, a nurse, a doctor or something like that, that then helps guide them to where they need to be and gives them that opportunity. So the astral realm has got so many possibilities, such a huge topic, and yet we do it subconsciously in our sleep. So when we are growing up from young children and our energy's developing and our spirit body's developing, it goes off and it experiences all facets of life, from intimate relations right through to having fun and learning about things, and it impacts us on a physical level.
What sort of training is involved to experience astral travel?
There are lots of different things you can do to learn how to enjoy an astral experience. And mostly though, to really get a hang of it, you would join a meditation group or a spiritual group, and they would do that as part of what they do. And then you can do things like go on group astrals, where you will actually meet the other members of a group and you will go somewhere specifically. Generally it's to do healing work on the planet or to help in situations that are cropped up from war or natural disasters, that sort of thing. So lots you can do in that space. They're the main things. Find somebody that knows what they're doing with it and then learn from them. You know, we talk about the ascended masters, people like Sai Baba and Jesus and all these other people, and they could actually leave their body in one space, their physical body as we would know it, and appear halfway around the world and look just as physical and real. And Sai Baba did this quite a few years back, where he appeared on like 3 or 4 different continents all at the same time, and people were ringing up to talk to other people to say, oh no, Sai's here with me and blah blah blah. So, you know, many cultures, especially many indigenous cultures, do medicine journeys, that sort of thing, where it helps to release the spirit body out of the physical body to go on a journey to understand themselves. And that's quite technical, and again, it comes from a deep cultural belief of what they're doing, so they know what they're doing, they do it safely. And guided meditations, having the right teacher, having, you know, to get them to go out to do that is really important in that space.
What suggestions do you have for our viewers in terms of their own astral travel?
Right, so good suggestions would be, there are lots of great books out there on an astral travel and how to do it. If you don't get the right information out of the book, then going to a good practitioner, somebody that knows what they're doing, someone that knows how to guide you there and bring you back safely. A good meditation teacher will be able to do it, a good spiritual teacher will be able to do it, and then, you know, there are the other ways, like I mentioned before, of doing it. However, I believe that we can learn this just through practice. And the other really important suggestion is, if you're doing this at home and you're by yourself, don't have the pets in the room. Because if your spirit body's flying off somewhere and your physical body's here, right, if a dog or a cat or something jumps on you, it scares you and you jump back into your body really quickly. And you'll know, and most of the viewers will probably pick up on this, at one point, you would have been travelling in the car, head on the side, a little bit of dribble coming out, and you jump back into your body like that. That's your spirit body's been out doing something because you're so bored with what's happening. It's off doing what it wants to do, and it comes back in a hurry, and so that's what happens. And most people wake up in the morning, they wake up with a jolt, and that's because their spirit body's come back into their physical body. And where most people say, I feel like I got out of bed on the wrong side, that's because they're not lined back up. So probably the suggestion is go back to bed or lie down, visualise your spirit body and your physical body coming into perfect alignment, and then getting up again and moving forward for the rest of the day. So that would be my top suggestions.
Thanks, Anthony. That's such good information to consider. If you'd like to know more about Anthony Kilner and what people are talking about when they mention the astral, please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, health coach Denise Mokadsi will discuss the topic, is anxiety and depression or brain fog in your DNA? Welcome back. Our last guest is health coach Denise Mokadsi, and the topic we'll be discussing is anxiety, depression and brain fog in your DNA, and what your genes reveal about you and your mental health and what you can do about it. Welcome, Denise.
Hi, how you going?
Many people struggle with mental health issues and depression and anxiety and brain fog. How do our genetics play a part in that?
Many people do struggle with mental health issues, and we've got a very stressful lifestyle, most of us. And epigenetics is really a way that we can look at how can we use our genes as information to how we might be able to better handle mental health. Epigenetics might be a term that viewers have heard of before, but may not really understand. An easy way to look at it, I find, is to use an analogy, and this particular one could be like music. So if we think of our DNA or our genes like the notes on a sheet of music, and when we can't change that, so the notes are already there, but how we play those notes is kind of like our lifestyle, and together how we play the notes is our result, like our outcomes that we see. That together is kind of the epigenetics. So basically it's our lifestyle influencing our genes. And when we understand how we might be able to do certain things in our lifestyle to get better influences on our genes, then we can have a bit more control over how we handle stress and that kind of, how we're coming across from a mental perspective, how well we can handle things because of what we're doing in our lifestyle.
Can you share some examples of knowing your genetic profile and how it can help someone manage their mental health issues?
Because we're all individuals, we've all got different genetic profiles basically. But when we know our own profile, it can help us manage our experiences with more knowledge, I guess, more power on how we react to something. The differences do come a lot quite through hormones. So for example, someone might be more sensitive to adrenaline, for example, and say something happens where you have a negative response to that episode or that experience, you might be more likely to respond from the lens of adrenaline. So you might be more like wanting to attack. Like adrenaline's like that fight, we've got the fight, flight, freeze. So adrenaline's going to push someone more to react that way. And whereas someone else might react more from hide away or introversion rather than sort of fight into something. So the way that we respond to our experiences really will influence how we live our life, basically. So when we know that, we know we've got a particular genetic profile that is this way inclined, we can mitigate some of the ways that we respond knowing that we're more likely to respond with an attack, for example, or more likely to run away from a thing. And so that's one way that we can use our genetic profile to influence how we might think about something and react to something, and hence our mental health or how we interpret all of that. There are other ways that we can look even deeper as well in our genetic sequence. Depending on what genes someone has, they may or may not metabolize certain hormones and neurotransmitters a particular way. And that can also affect our brain health, as can our diet. If we're not eating the right foods that allow these genes or enzymes to function properly, then you can also affect your mental health. It can be very complicated, so I'm just trying to keep it fairly simple, but personalities and all of that is like our biology. We are born with these predispositions to act and respond a certain way. And when we know that about ourselves, then we just can be a bit more empowered about the situation and our experience.
Denise, what are some tips for our viewers for them improving their mental health and resilience?
When it comes to mental health, if we think about our brain, it's largely fat. So eating lots of healthy fats like the omega-3s, the leafy greens, the fish, avocados, walnuts, all of those types of things to really help have a healthy brain is going to help from a physical perspective with our mental health. Exercise is another really great tip for people. If we could bottle exercise as a pill, antidepressant, the results that you get from exercise outweigh any benefit that a pill for depression might do. So exercise is always a really good one, just to be moving. And relationships, social relationships with people can help someone's mental health. If you're very isolated, it can be hard to manage what's going on, but when you've got good social support, then you can talk about what you're feeling and get support that way. But I think too, especially with mental health issues, if anyone has any concerns, then it's always best to seek professional advice to help someone navigate their mental health.
Thanks, Denise.
Thank you.
Such important information. If you'd like to know more about Denise and how genetics and DNA can influence your mental health, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And that's all for us for today. We'll say bye-bye until next time. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.